I just want to check in on this journey to growing my social media following. I have a professional helping me to do this, and that's making a huge difference because even now I feel like what we're doing is wrong. I think that we're posting on the wrong topics. I'm losing followers, which I found if you don't check your inner chatter can make you think badly, basically. It can put you in a poor mental state. And so I did reach out to her and said, look, is this good? Is this normal? And she said, absolutely. Now, if I didn't have a coach, I would start doubting myself and jump from strategy to strategy. But I'm sticking with this strategy. She is sure that what she's doing is the right way. I don't think so, but we will see. And I'll document this process. Additionally, and I've said this before, that when you start a business, so I'm launching an online weight loss system to help people lose weight and keep it off and also get the body that they want. And it's involving some big changes in my life and delayed. There will be no dividends paid from all of this work for quite a while, which again causes you to, and I've said this in the other videos, doubt yourself. And you've got to be very, very sure of yourself and have a good self-image, because number one, you're going to be putting content out there if you're building a personal brand. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to have discipline, which leads me to my last topic. I started reading this, Digital Minimalism, because what I found is it's been a really challenging few years, if I'm honest with you, as I've tried more and more to move things online, all of my earning online, but I've only really focused on it hard in the last 9 months. It's held a mirror up to me, and all of those kind of things you don't like about yourself, which you would never know about in a job because you get a paycheck every month and you're just kind of like, you can just drift on in that safety, that bubble. But when you start a business, you've got to build a personal brand, put content out there, you start doubting yourself, you start to get very distracted, what I found is people start to leave your life. You start to, like, I've got books over there. I've read more books in the last year than I have in my whole life. I've read over 54 books now, I think is the last count, in 18 months, which for me, I might read 1 or 2 books a year before that. And what's happened is I've become much more aware of lots of different things in life, and I've probably changed as a person a bit. It started to get down into my subconscious, I guess. And people, you have new people coming in, which is cool, but yeah, people leaving as well. There's just people I used to hang out with kind of mindlessly that we don't really relate to each other as much anymore. And living in London and you've got to be really careful not to become isolated. You're building a business, you're changing as a person. It's challenging. It's really, and isolation is not good for your mental health, really. If you're working all day on your own, as I do, and then you go to the gym and you want to kind of get your workout in quick, you've got like noise cancelling earbuds in, you don't really talk to anyone. Then you go home, you try and eat a lean body meal and shut your phone off and go to sleep and wake up and read and do the whole routine again. If you're not careful, you've got to build in socializing to that. All right. But anyway, what I've found is I'm finding this to be really honest on this diary. I'm documenting this process. I feel excited and I feel glad for all of the learnings I've had, but this is a hard, lonely path, to be honest. I hope it's worth it because I can see that it's costing me a lot. But I think you get to a place where, and maybe it's a sign of good commitment, you have to decide whether you're all in and you're willing to die trying. And I know that sounds really dramatic, but it could be that I get to the age of 50, 60, and this just hasn't worked out really badly. And I've not been able to earn a good money doing what I want to do. And therefore, I just block that sun out. Therefore, I've not met anyone, because women need a guy who can provide, a provider and a protector, and it's all over, that's very scary in one sense. But I think I'm willing to go down that path. I don't want to get to the end of my life and think, I was an employee my whole life, which is not what I want. It's just so I oscillate through these times of hyper productivity and smashing it. But because I'm a perfectionist, my brain kids me that I've done no work, which is awful because you then have a negative association to working. And there's a great book I've got set over there called The Now Habit, which I've read and I'm going to reread in a second before I do my next block of work. So I go through bouts of like hyper intense focus, and then I think it would be good to be working with other entrepreneurs because you kind of can talk about, hey, I've achieved this today, I'm feeling good about this. But when you're just left with your own thoughts as a perfectionist, your brain chastens you and says, oh, you didn't do anything today. It's a really strange sensation. I've spoken about it before, where I've kept a to-do list and I've ticked things off, and I get this horrible feeling at the end of the day that I've not done anything and I should have done more, or that I've been busy and not effective, not productive. But then I look back at my to-do list and it's like my brain just deleted all these things I did. It's really, really strange and really a really horrible feeling. So that then can cause you to sort of spiral into, like with the isolation, if you're not careful to keep that in check, into just like a not such a good place. And then you start, what's the escape? You start looking for an escape from these feelings, and the escape is social media typically. Lots of YouTube videos, keeping up on whatever you're interested in, the boxing news or the world news or I don't know, whatever. And so I've noticed that's happened to me in the last few weeks. I started reading this Digital Minimalism, and one thing he speaks about is you've got to have a system in place. I'm only 1 or 2 chapters in, to curate your environment so you do not get constantly distracted. These phones, these devices, they are engineered to be like slot machines. They give you dopamine. When you pull a slot machine lever, the thing that causes the dopamine is the anticipation of seeing if you get, when those 3, whatever they're called, like reels roll round, to see if you get a cherry, and a cherry. Is that the top scoring thing? I don't know. I've never, thank God, I've never got into gambling, and I've never done a slot machine in my life. Thank God, because I've seen, when I went to Reno in Nevada, people literally sweat patches on the stool where people sit for 20 hours because they're so addicted to these machines. But with your phone, when you go on social media, it's the anticipation of what's coming. And then when you see if you got, I don't know, 50 likes or 1 like, it gives you a dopamine release. So the point is, with this, I think this looks like a very good book, and I think that if you resonate with anything that I've said, read this book and build a system in place. I remember reading another bit of research that shows that even having so I always have my phone on silent, notifications turned off, and face down. So even if something does flash up, so they can't get to me with the audio, and they can't get me with any visual cue. But even just the device being there, this study found in your periphery, affected people's ability to focus. So I literally, I'm working on the other side of the room. I have my phone hidden behind a chair. But reading this book has made me rethink. I'm going to become much more aggressive about how I handle this phone. And that doesn't mean going monk mode for the rest of your life, where you can never, say, watch a boxing match on your phone if that's what you're into, or the boxing news, and enjoy that. There's got to be a time and a place for that. But he's talking about 30 days of strict no social media, which is interesting, to break these. You get a stimulus, and then the response is to grab your phone. Normally the stimulus is you feel discomfort, or as a result of being bored, or as I spoke about, you're trying to build a business and it's not going so well maybe, or you're trying to build social media following like I am, and you have all these doubts and you're losing followers, and so what's an easy escape is social media. And so you get the stimulus of that discomfort, the response, and he's saying you've got to break that with 30-day fast. So I hope this helps somebody. Have a great week.